You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. That's why you're good-looking, and you've tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy. It's the ambassador of joy, and you tuned into this podcast for one reason and one reason only. And it's the best reason in the whole world, because you care the most in the entire world about you, Y-O-U. And that's great, because you know in this show we discuss the three fundamentals of life. And when you use these three fundamentals, the result is you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? And you're going to have an amazing opportunity today to meet one of the most dynamic, loving, caring human beings on the planet who is doing stuff that is so rooted in good. I mean, it's just an absolute delight to be involved with this fabulous fellow. So just going to go very quickly and talk about what it is that we do and the reason you're here. And you're joined at this very moment by 501,820 people around the world, all who care about the same thing, themselves, and becoming the best version of themselves possible. And we do that by working with the three fundamentals of life. Now, the three fundamentals are, number one, life. Your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number two happens. In this case, a good number two, you go mad. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example, right now this show is being carried over the internet throughout the world, hundreds of thousands of people watching and listening and enjoying. And if you ask anybody, what does WWW stand for? They'll tell you it's the internet. No, factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, WWW stands for what a wonderful world. And what is the word, right? WHATA. And of course, a tip of the hat and a big thank you to Louis Armstrong Satchmel for enabling that song to go viral and not just touch tens of millions, 100 millions, but billions of people around the planet. Because whenever you hear the opening bars of what a wonderful world, what do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you're going to internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right, seeing miracles in life every day. I'll give you an example. I am privileged to speak to people on a regular basis, either in person or around the world, thousands and thousands of people on a regular basis. And I'm telling the story about Barry Shore, and I'm telling people about living through experiences and about being paralyzed and then, thank God, upper body back. And I talk to people about seeing miracles in life every day. And invariably, people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, been out for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I ask them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water to drink? Do you have food? Do you have a place to sleep? Do you have family and friends? Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simple as proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching, you're listening, you didn't. If you have an obligation to live life to the full. And let me just say a quick story. Again, it's about me. Imagine I'm standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And in the evening, I'm in the hospital, totally paralyzed. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. And it was not from an automobile accident. It wasn't a spinal injury. It was a rare disease which took over my body and rendered me a quadriplegic, completely immobile. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't move for 2 years. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. I can't walk up a stair by myself, can't walk up a curb by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice, positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, all because of this one word, smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. But I got to tell you a quick story. My 80-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago. She says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her how come. She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. What was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a wonderful acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. That's right. It's called a shift in perspective. Now, I am working with people for more than 4 decades, and I can tell you 97.2% of all the people I begin working with, they drop the F and shift, and the other stuff happens. You're going to be effing careful with your reps. You want to shift your perspective a little bit, and then you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine your pathway in life and your trajectory. Now, before we bring on our amazing guest, wonderful Paul, I just have to warn him and you, new listening audience. By the way, thank you for urging your families and friends to join. We're always having about 20, 25,000 new people come in. So we just broke the 500,000 mark. And we urge you, share this with 5 people. You want to do it 50 or 100, it's up to you, but at least 5 so we can touch millions of people around the planet with joy and happiness, peace and love. And follow us, of course, on Spotify and Apple. It makes a difference. But before we bring on Paul, I just want to warn everybody that I use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word, and I do it because it's fun and the shock value. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use are, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. So we use words like love, life, hope, play, pray, swim, free, gift. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right. F-U, capital N, capital N. So I know right away people raise their hands and say, Barry Shore, Barry Shore. Fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. In our world, it's spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and friends, you'll have a twinkle in your eye and a smile on your face. Point your finger and say, F-U, everybody. But remember to add right away, capital N, capital N. Where'd you get that? I listen to Barry Shore and the joy of living. He wants to teach people how to have life and joy. So I'm going to urge everybody to do the following. Before we bring on Paul, I want you to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now the rest of your life, because you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Therefore, be kind always. Kind stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody that inspires noble deeds that I want to share with you more than amazing, wonderful, my dear friend, Paul Marsolan. Paul, please say hello to 501,892 people around the world.
Hello, and thank you very much for having me, Barry. Appreciate it. Great to see you as always.
It's a joy. So if I tell you all the things that Paul and I do together and intersect and have been involved with, it would take the rest of the show. And I'm only going to tell you 3 things about him. He is one of the most loving human beings I've ever met. And I'm embarrassing right now, but he needs it. Because he's married, has 2 kids, and he has challenges in his life. You wouldn't know it, but he does. Number 2, he's one of the smartest human beings I've ever met in my life. I mean, he does stuff that is truly earth moving. I mean, you'll learn about that in just a moment. He does things with trucks and things like that. And number 3, he's doing everything in the world of technology that is oriented the world around the 4-letter word called good, G-O-O-D, right? Let's just be blunt. So he has more than 25 years experience in the high-tech world. He's built big companies, sold companies, worked with some of the biggest names in the world. And now he's dedicating himself to a very interesting niche market, which we're going to explore because it touches everybody's life. And it's let's just go jump right in and talk about you, Paul. We won't talk about your life, your personal life for the moment, but I want to just talk about what you consider something wonderful, which is, of course, technology for good. How do you explain? What does that mean? Doesn't everybody want to do technology for good?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and this will come back to us too, Barry. So, you know, I'm fortunate enough to be able to explore lots of different and cool technologies and use a lot of that in my work, and then also use it in some of my passion too, which is to help people and help raise money for people, especially specifically nonprofits. And one of the things that we worked on together a while back was a cool little app that you could round up to the next dollar with your credit card purchases and give it to a nonprofit of your choice. And that's just, one of the things that we've been doing with technology for good. And most recent, with Battle Motors, we rolled out an EV product. So there's actually electric garbage trucks driving around this country right now. Some of them being ours, which is fantastic.
Okay, I want to unpack it for everybody. First of all, the name of the company, everything you want to know about Paul, by the way, is going to be in the show notes. So you don't have to write anything down, take notes, just listen, because the guy he's cool. He's a COOL. He's always involved with GOOD. And he's just, it's all great stuff. So imagine garbage trucks. I mean, everybody thinks about garbage. So you think garbage and dirty and such. Clean. Think clean. Because now they're electrified. Paul is the chief, what do you call it? The CSO, Chief Software Officer of a company called Battleground Trucks. I'm sorry. Battle Motors. BATTLE Motors. Company's been around for 75 plus years, and they were in the crane business and all kinds of stuff. It comes together with Paul and other great minds, and now he's electrifying what they call vocational trucks. So first of all, what are vocational trucks, and why should we care about them being electrified?
Yeah, that's perfect. So I guess vocational trucks are easily described as something that provides vocation, right? So think heavy-duty trucks. So think garbage, refuse trucks, think jet refuelers, think dump trucks, think the trucks with the buckets, right, that go and work on power lines. Think about trucks that drive around with big drills and drill holes to put power line posts in. So a whole bunch of different use cases can be used for these trucks. And we enjoy it, and we have a lot of fun with it. So it's always good.
So let me make a statement. Just thinking about this, not to compare. It's more like to give people a vision. It's as if you are the Tesla of the vocational truck world.
That's very fair to say. We also offer, though, in fairness, diesel and CNG trucks. So we have all three at our disposal to be able to give to the customers whatever they want to be able to accomplish. And so some customers want the diesel, right? Tried and true. Some people want the CNG for the clean natural gas capabilities of it, but still very well defined. And then some people want this zero, right? ZEV, zero emission vehicle, to be able to go out and do their different products and our different solutions. And so we have a couple garbage trucks here in New York, here in Los Angeles, all around the country, doing different things. But we offer all the above.
So let's say a couple of things here. I'm a guy. People know that. Watching and listening and such. And I think guys are just attracted to trucks. We love playing with them as kids, love riding in them, moving them. I mean, because they represent, let's be blunt, power, doing something. Like you said, taking that carriage up into the power lines, moving earth and things like that. And here you have tell us about, would you please, the natural gas, because I think I understand diesel. I mean, it is a more efficient or effective, I think, process than just regular gasoline. Electric, I think people understand today, the zero emissions, as you said. What is it about natural gas that is really interesting? And why is it not being used even more, let's say, in automobiles?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think most of it is infrastructure, actually. So if you go to like a whole bunch of people are using natural gas as a solution. We'll see it in buses a whole bunch, right, in different cities. It's a cleaner alternative to diesel in a lot of cases, and a lot of states believe it's a cleaner solution than diesel for carbon perspective and how it burns. Still provides a tremendous amount of power, so very, very comparable to diesel from that perspective. The hard part, I think, in this use case is infrastructure to be able to create the natural gas for you to be able to use it in vehicles. And so we have a lot of large refuse companies or municipalities creating a tremendous amount of capital expenditure to create these infrastructures to basically have CNG filling locations. And we do believe inside the industry that it is a much cleaner alternative to than it is for diesel. But the infrastructure is required to make it there, and very low temperatures to be able to keep it in liquid form and be able to keep it in the right place. And so it is a great solution for a lot of large places that want to use this.
So if I'm not well read in the area, however, I do like to read into it. Liquefied natural gas is a byproduct or comes along with oil production. Is that true?
It's from natural gas from
oil wells and such.
Yeah.
Okay. So liquefied natural gas. Now, the United States of America is one of the largest reserves of liquefied natural gas or in the world. I mean, we have reserves that can go on for not just decades, but centuries.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's powerful, it's clean, and it is an alternative to something. Let's go really crazy. It's fun to think of a vocational truck with a solar panel on it, and that's what runs the truck. I mean, it's a great idea, except that it can't be, not that it can't be done. The technology is not there yet to power something.
Yeah.
As an interim step over the next century or two, natural gas and electrification are great alternatives in terms of saving the environment. In other words, being clean, being less expensive, being better for everybody. And is that quite true, or am I imagining?
Yeah, that's a very fair question. I think I can't say less expensive, but cleaner, yes. In a lot of cases, especially with let's talk about CNG. We talked about infrastructure a little bit, right? There's a large capital investment required to create this infrastructure to be able to fill these trucks, and we have lots of large municipalities who have gotten behind that. Lots of large private companies that have gotten behind that to be able to use natural gas in their fleet to be able to reduce greenhouse gases, right? And we also have seen the same with electric. So there's also on the electric side of things, batteries are very expensive, right? They're very expensive from an automobile perspective. It's expensive for an infrastructure perspective, depending on what you need for your usage of these batteries. Our smallest truck is like 2.5 the biggest Tesla battery, right? So it's a lot of kilowatt hours per these trucks. Our biggest truck is 4 times that size. And so the amount of electricity required to be able to put into these trucks is quite immense. And so depending on how many trucks you have, you could plug in a level 2 charger, right? And fill the truck up over in 12 hours, which is quite nice, the smaller one. The bigger one, you need a level 3 charger. So think supercharger for Teslas, think those EV Go big chargers, right? That kind of look like refrigerators. Those kind of guys are what you probably need to charge some of those bigger trucks and charge bigger truck batteries to get them to go in a couple hours. You can use some of those bigger ones also to make their smaller truck charge in an hour, which is great. So depending upon what your goals are and what your route defines for this vocational market, that's why EV is pretty good for this vocational market. Kind of goes out, does its thing. Let's use refuse as an example. Goes out, collects all its cans, comes back to the depot, right? Charges all night, goes out and does it again. So it's a really good use case for some of those things. Long haul freight, not a great use case for these.
Oh, this is such a good point we're going to come back to. So we have sponsors that love our show. We wouldn't have them on if we didn't think they're worthy of your time and attention. You're learning so much. I'm learning so much. We'll be right back with amazing, wonderful Paul Marsolan right after these brief messages. Don't go away because it's all here for you. Be right back.
Hello, skincare connoisseurs. If you think you have tried everything in skincare, you are going to love what I am about to tell you. I'm pharmacist Benjamin I. Fuchs. I'm a dermatology pharmacist. And what I've discovered in my compounding pharmacy after decades of working with patients with skin traumas and skin diseases is the missing link in skincare is topical essential nutrition. And because of this missing link, we're not maximizing the potential of topical skincare. We're leaving skin beauty and skin health on the table. And that's why I formulated my Truth Treatments. Listen, the skin's an organ. It needs and wants and craves nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and plant-derived minerals, and now it can get them in super high concentrations in my Truth Treatments. Originally formulated for dermatologists and their patients, now they're available to you. Check them out today at truthtreatments.com, and I know you are going to love the truth.
Any business leader who has stood in front of potential investors can tell you, creating a vivid, compelling vision of the future can be the difference between bankruptcy and billions. If you can move people with words, you can practically will things into existence. Something that seems impossible can be made to seem inevitable. But not with bullet points, with a well-crafted and well-told story. I spent 30 years in advertising, creating stories for giant brands, universities, and governments, and changing people's hearts and minds. And over those years, I accumulated a treasure chest of insights about how to entertain and inspire and move people. And I think I can teach you. Can you think of a tool more powerful than human speech? See how your value changes when you start to master the oldest human art form.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, you're always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Paul Marsolan. He is the chief software officer of a company called Battle Motors, and they are in the forefront of everything to do with vocational trucks and making them more efficient, more beneficial for this time and for the future. And that's really where we are. And everything they do, by the way, made in America. I mean, he's in the right place, the right time, with the right product, moving America forward. Now, we left our intrepid heroes with this whole discussion about natural gas, electrification, plugging in. So it's easy to think about plugging something in and letting it charge. Let's be blunt. Huge amounts of electricity. Well, where does that stuff come from? So I happen to be a big believer in something called SRN, SNR, small nuclear reactors. And I'd like to get your take on it, even though it's outside of our realm of what we're going to think on discussing, because how else are you going to get the electricity needed on such a large volume except by nuclear? You're not going to do it with solar. You're not going to do it with wind. Let's be blunt. Even fossil fuel, it's straining. I think small nuclear reactors. Am I off on that, or is that a path?
I love that idea. I think it's a really cool and interesting idea. And as we start to move forward in this AI revolution, right, as we're going down this path, we're seeing a tremendous amount of investment in nuclear, right? Microsoft, OpenAI, all these guys have gone forward and made deals and investments into nuclear reactors, and we're talking the big boy nuclear reactors. I think the small personal ones become an interesting idea too, right? Enron, I think, just released one at CES, or released a concept. I think they're calling the egg, which I thought was pretty cool. But I agree. I think the concept of being able to create your own power becomes extremely interesting. And inside the space of some of these electric vehicles, once you get out of level 2, right, charging to level 3, the big boy, charging capabilities, you start to run into infrastructure concerns. And what we have seen is it takes time for power companies to be able to pull the power to those specific locations to be able to compensate for some of these larger fleet wants. And so when you drive by a supercharger, I just keep using superchargers as an example because we see them all over the place for Teslas. As you drive by some of these places, it takes a long time for the municipality to be able to bring power to be able to power these things. And we're running the same issue as we start to deploy some of these electric vehicles out to the cities.
So you're in the forefront of all of this. And we have listeners all over the world. I mean, some of the countries we have people listening. We had somebody from Bhutan recently saying that, they're from everywhere. And here people looking in the United States of America, and there's a huge shift right now. I'm not sure when this is going to go out there, but we're in the year 2025 in sort of the first, second quarter when you'll be watching Paul and such like that. America is in a shift mode right now because of a new election, not just a new president, a whole new mindset, which is that America wants to reclaim its dominance as the world power, not a world power, the world power. And power is the key. It doesn't mean power to kill people. It means power to do good. And as you pointed out, you mentioned a number of times in different settings, infrastructure is critical. We have infrastructure in this country that has served us well for decades, 75, 80 years, maybe even 100 in some cases. And yet it's at the end of its lifetime. It needs upgrades, significant upgrade. That doesn't just mean money. That means skill sets, people, ideas, abilities, et cetera, et cetera. And you, Paul, and your wonderful family, you live in Santa Monica, California. You even had to evacuate recently because you experienced something that happened vis-a-vis the great fires that, let's be blunt, some of it could have happened anyway. A lot of it could have been preventable because the power companies were not doing what was necessary to maintain their infrastructure in such a way to avoid tripping up undergrowth. Now, the environmental people were not allowing too many arguments in that. The point is that the infrastructure needs upgrade on a large scale, not just another 10%. We're talking tremendous. And as you say, with AI and all the things happening and people looking at small nuclear reactors and power grids for cities and such, do you see that clean technology is not just a dream, but that is actually capable of being installed in your children's lifetime?
Yes. We are making, I think, tremendous advancements, not only in energy storage, right, which is going to be required for
just going to ask you. Okay.
Yeah. So consumption of like all this solar, right? We have a tremendous amount of solar today, which is great. And a lot of us get solar today from the power company. The question is what happens when the sun doesn't shine, right? You need and at nighttime, obviously, right? So you need a place to be able to store a lot of this power because people won't just turn off all their lights and stop using, their microwaves and TVs, et cetera, right? You need to be able to have a capability to be able to store this power and be able to keep it effectively to be able to redistribute it at any time. And so I've seen, lots of really, really cool things from batteries to big concrete blocks being moved around with cranes for kinetic power, which is pretty cool. As we move, and these solid state batteries they're starting to come out, look phenomenally cool, charge in seconds, and will last all day. So a whole bunch of really, really cool technologies for this energy storage capability so that we were able to generate the power that we need in times of not necessarily high peaks, store it, and then use it as it moves along.
So this has been the bane of existence for electricity and such for 100 years. How do you store it? So you're telling me, or you're telling us, the world, that not only are people addressing it, but they're addressing it in ways that actually is beginning to work.
Yes, 100%. We already have, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we couldn't have made an electric garbage truck. You could, it just wouldn't be very efficient. today we have ones that can go over 100 miles, right? Over almost 200 miles, and be able to go pick up and do what they need to do and complete routes. I mean, we have refuse trucks out there that are doing 12-hour shifts, all electric, doing their thing and having a great time doing it. And
so wait. This is so exciting. I'm like a kid in the candy store. Isn't this amazing? Everything you're telling us has happened within not just literally the decade, even in the past 5 years.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. I guess we saw this tremendous want for electric vehicles from residential markets, right? Which made people and made technology to have to go scale to that. And now we're able to capitalize a lot on these automotive batteries that came through and be able to use them in other vocational trucks. And I think that same technology wave of wanting of us, right, as residential, as us as people, pushing towards this clean initiative has pushed a lot of funding dollars in that same direction. How do you now store this power? How do you use this power? How can I put this power into production for usage in not only transportation, but the grid, right? And so being able to use all of these things at our disposal to be able to have clean, efficient, and sustainable power, I think is really, really exciting.
So this is the new CES show: clean, efficient, sustainable.
I like that idea. I don't know if they'll change the name for you, but is
this not fabulous? I mean, we're talking about a future that is real. It's not Dick Tracy watches or a smartwatch.
Right. Which have all come true, right? Which have all come true.
Yeah. And it's going to be, as things tend to happen, they tend to happen faster. Now, so let's go back to the battery issue. So is there this crunch in these rare earth situations, the lithiums and of the world, or is that going to be able to be overcome, do you think? In other words, right now, lithium is let's say, we'll call it a bottleneck. Maybe people will find that, we can leapfrog from lithium or something else.
Yeah, some of these solid state batteries don't even need lithium, from my understanding, in some of the stuff they're doing, to be able to allow for a really, really efficient energy storage, right? To be able to fill up the battery very quickly, like they're talking, seconds to fill up a battery, and then it be able to have the same kilowatts per whatever energy unit of volume, essentially, right? As our typical batteries for lithium batteries. It's incredibly impressive. Some of this technology is amazing, and we're very, very close to a lot of these things going into production. And I think it's going to be just incredible for what our society has to see for energy storage.
And again, if you look in terms of decades, we don't have to think decades out. Every 10 years will be a leapfrog, in essence.
I think less than that, but yeah, 100%. I mean, we're seeing, again, it's in my mind, it's kind of where the research dollars go, right? And then how can that research dollar equate to increasing the life or increasing the capability for our lives as residents? And so we've seen a lot of research money go this direction, because a whole bunch of people wanted EV. That's kind of fallen off a little bit now, I think, at this moment in time. But all that money for research and all that experience and all that want and all that production capabilities have already gotten, kind of through the machine to really create these production ready and exciting technology storage products. And I think we're going to see a lot of them come out, right? I mean, who would have thought that in the year 2024, right, when I think they announced it, a personalized nuclear reactor could be yours, right? I mean, it's crazy. It's amazing. Super exciting.
Right. Did you get one?
I put myself on the waiting list. Yeah.
It is kind of, it's so real, especially when you think that the Wright brothers were just not that far away.
Right. Exactly. That's crazy.
So let's talk about technology for good and AI for good, because your world is built around good. I want to mention, if I may, and if we don't want to dwell on it, we do want to talk about, as I mentioned, happily married, thankfully, wonderful wife. And I'm honored to say Paul is a friend. We swim together. I saw you would swim with his boys. Each one of your boys, you have two wonderful boys. Each one of them has a unique challenge, a physical challenge. Can you talk about it just for a little bit and what you see potentially, if there is anything in the world of AI and such that would be of benefit to either them or to curing the particular issues that they have?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question for sure. So I'll start with my oldest, Ronan. He has a rare condition called charge, and it's a very unique and interesting genetic mutation that takes place pretty early on in pregnancy, unidentified until he was born, and it was a trying time for us as a family, but then also we've learned a tremendous amount. And the wonderful part is Ronan is so happy and has exceeded so much stuff that the doctors told us wouldn't even happen, right? They told him he's going to be a vegetable, much like, better than us, right? Going to be a vegetable, not be able to move again, right? He's defied all odds. He's got, he's legally deaf, legally blind. He fortunately has cochlear implants, so he can hear better than we can. If you've ever been to a rock concert, I know, mind blowing, right? Doesn't talk, but he uses sign language. He's better at sign language than me and my wife combined. In fact, he's doesn't even ask me questions that much anymore because he's like, "Oh, Dad, he's not that good. Let me go talk to Mom about it."
Oh, wait a minute. He's a real kid.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a preteen, or he's a teenager now, so it makes it even more fun. So to answer the question about Ronan for AI perspective, I think so. Sign language is a challenging language. It's its own thing, right? And being able to communicate with other individuals, peers, and other people in the world, how do you do that? And today, whenever we go on trips, Mom and Dad are always the translator for him to be able to communicate outside of the family group. But what if you could use AI to be able to look at the hand signals and do a translate, right? Just like Google can do translate today for Spanish or French or a case maybe to English.
I was just about to ask you, yes, if we could do those things. So is that beginning to happen? Is it people working on that?
Yeah, I think I've seen a whole bunch of different projects, open source mostly. Again, it's mostly driven by people that have their own interests in that perspective. I've seen, I think a kid from MIT made a glove that actually does translation from sign language, American Sign Language to English, which looks super cool. So a whole bunch of cool stuff happening there from that perspective. And I think that AI will help a lot narrow that language gap. I think across everything, right? Arguably, like if I walk into to Paris today, my French is subpar, to say the best. But using AI and using Translate, whatever the case may be, you can do a lot of those things in real time now. I think we're going to see the same thing with sign language and other languages to narrow that language gap, lower that communication gap, which I think is tremendously cool. And I think for Ronan and for us, I think it's going to be a huge win too. So
on a personal level, did swimming help him?
Oh, yes. So big deal for swimming. And I think very well, it's such an important skill set, so good for all your muscle development and moving around for sure. His ability to swim has been a big game changer, I think, for him. And for you. Thank you.
Swimming's been good to me.
Yeah.
I still swim 2 miles a day, 6 days a week, thankfully.
That's amazing. I couldn't do that.
And I don't even need AI. Thank you. So actually, I use flotations on my legs and paddles. And I use so I use something. But okay, this is wonderful. So let's do this. We're going to do another short break. Don't go away. There's more Paul on the other side because Paul stands for good. You want to hear more from him. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Don't go away.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking. Show is looking for and finding the good. He found good in abundance. His name is Paul Marsolan. He is the chief software officer of an amazing company called Battle Motors. BattleMotors.com. It's the leading electrification of severe service vocational trucks. How do you like that? I said it was a mouthful, and it's all true. And I love watching the YouTube because, again, guys especially, okay, this is not a sexist thing. We like seeing trucks, and especially trucks that are just so hip and cool and clean and good. It's wonderful. And that's what Paul is all about. By the way, Paul, I love acronyms and such. So I have an acronym for your name. May I tell you what the acronym is?
Please tell me.
Okay, PAUL, Purpose Awakens Unlimited Love.
I love that. Thank you, Barry. That's amazing.
Well, that's who you are. No, I just said what you do. So we're talking about good. We're talking about AI. Your whole world is technology and being able to bend the arc of technology for benefit for people. You're doing it with the clean trucks. You're doing it in your home life. You're doing it with friends and such like that. You do it with music. Because you like to play music, you like to rock out. And
yeah,
I want to hear from you, if you could, paint us a little bit of a picture. You said you're involved with something called Revolution OS. What is Revolution OS when it comes to moving vehicles?
Yeah. Good question. So let me give you a little history about Battle Motors and first, if you don't mind. So there's a company called Crane Carrier. And that company's been around for about 75 years. It was a manufacturer of vocational trucks, made trucks for World War II, did a whole bunch of really cool stuff. My co-founder and I, Mike, who's an amazing, magical person, came around. We were going to make an electric vehicle, and Mike found Crane Carrier. And Mike was like, "Hey, are you guys for sale?" And they said, "No, we're not for sale." And Mike, being Mike, wrote a number down on a piece of paper and said, "How about for that?" And they said, "Oh yeah, we're for sale for that." And amazing, right? So we came into a wonderful company that already had a truck. It's been around for 75 years. Been making a great bulletproof truck, one truck a day for about for all these years. And what I learned about the vocational market very quickly is it is probably a decade behind residential vehicles. And so you're driving around these huge things, weigh 80,000 pounds, right? Can hold up to 80,000 pounds. And it doesn't have a camera system. Like when you put the truck in reverse.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because.
That's right. No, that's 100% right. So you got to put all these things on aftermarket, right? So you got to go and buy a camera system from somebody else to put it on. Like it doesn't come that way out of the factory. It doesn't come that way out of the body company necessarily. And so it's just such an interesting concept. And all these things are still like analog gauges, right? I mean, you sit in the driver's seat and you're driving a truck that looks like it's from the 30s, from the 40s. Right. Yeah, exactly. And so I challenged my team to look at how we could make these trucks equal or better to what we're doing today inside our residential vehicles. As an example, you throw your car into reverse and guess what? You see a 360 view camera around your car and be able to drive it easily in a reverse form. Why not in this huge truck? So what they do today is they put all these cameras on, bolt them on, and then they have a big screen that kind of looks like you're a security guard at a building. You have all these different screens you got to look at while you're moving this huge truck. So the challenge was we created this system on top of Android to be able to consume a lot of these different data elements, cameras, routing, fleet management, telematics, messaging, communication, right? And bring them all into one hardware platform to be able to say, hey, operator, I don't have to show you 8 cameras at one time. How about when you push reverse, you get to see a 360 camera in your reverse. You don't need to see reverse when you're driving down the freeway. So try to minimize distractions, try to increase safety, try to add context to the operator, just like we see today in our residential vehicles. bring that all into the vocational world and allow for this simplicity of the technology to mitigate distractions of the operator, right? Allow them to do what they need to do. Drive the truck and pick up refuse, right? Everything else from a safety perspective, let's help supplement some of that with technology, help mitigate all these distractions and be able to allow for the operator to do their job. That's basically
the and not only did you look at that company and do it, and you and Mike, you did it. In other words, that's fast forward just a couple of years, or
that's
not
right.
a couple, but a few years time, and voila, it's all there.
Exactly right.
You did it.
Yeah.
That, by the way, the bravo of what we'll call, for want of a better term, the Rust Belt mentality in Ohio. Hey, we build great stuff.
That's right.
And I'll make it nice. The West Coast thinking, bringing it together and creating that beneficial synergy where everybody wins.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I mean, being able to, I've always done software, right? And it's super exciting to work in this company and work with these great people and be able to design something and then sit in it and drive it off a line, right? Into the parking lot. I mean, that is the coolest thing in the world. And let me tell you, I am the cool uncle. All my nephews freaking think I'm the coolest guy on the face of the planet because I make garbage trucks. and it's amazing. And it worked out really well. I went to Ohio State, so did Mike's, and Mike's actually from Toledo. So being able to go back to where, we used to live, you spend a lot of time, and be able to employ people in that community, be able to know these people in the community is fantastic. And to be able to have an American-made product is phenomenally cool.
I can see the current administration visiting the plant and you getting a presidential citation. If not,
that'd be a cool thing for sure. Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm going to work on it.
Fantastic, please.
Okay. I'm sorry to say these words, but we're coming to a close on our time together for this round. I have 3 quick questions for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Will you come back again?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful.
Thank you. Number 2, my dear beloved Paul Marsolan, you have only 80 seconds to answer this question. What is your most fervent desire?
That's a hard one. Provide good in the world and help as many people as I can, and try to be a good father and good husband.
Well, I can vote that you're succeeding on all fronts, and I want you to continue doing so. And number 3 question, may I give you a hug in front of 508,917 people around the world?
100%. Please go ahead here.
Stands for Heartfelt Unlimited Giving, HUG, Heartfelt Unlimited Giving. So here we come. 1, 2, 3. And again, everybody, you're watching Paul Marsolan, Barry Shore, and this show is not about Paul, great guy that he is, or even Barry, wonderful fellow. It's about you becoming the best you possible, you working with good in every aspect of your life when you follow the 3 fundamentals, which is number 1, life has purpose. You lead a purpose-driven life, you go mad, you make a difference in the world. Number 3 is you unlock the power in the sequence of everyday words and terms. You'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. As my 8-year-old niece says, SMILE also stands for seeing miracles in everyday life. You want to use the 2 most important words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life, because you'll be better off for it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. Use 4-letter words like love, life, hope, play, free, gift. And tell everybody to F you. capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends. Remember to point your finger, big smile on your face. Tell everybody, F you, capital N, capital N. Where'd you get that? Oh, isn't it Barry Shore? And then you can tell them all the wonderful things that are happening in the world. You heard directly from Paul, he's the tip of the spear. It's all happening right now for our benefit. So a prayer from Barry and Paul. Go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Paul, don't go away. Okay?
All right.
You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.